Hello, everybody, and welcome to video number 6. As you can see with the buildings behind me, I am still in Chicago. It's at the end of July. I'll be back to Manhattan, Kansas soon. And to my left, I have our cockatiel Cupcake. This is my third take trying to deliver this lecture today because Cupcake's been noisy this morning. So hopefully we'll get through this one. So let's get to it. As I mentioned earlier, and as your book talks about, copy editors use specific symbols for editing texts. Typically in newsrooms, an editor marks the text and sends it back to the reporter for repairs, or it's passed on to another editor who will make the corrections based on the symbols. Reporters and editors are both expected to know these symbols. They're traditional, but even modern day newsrooms and publishers still use them. They're industry standard across newsrooms, magazines, and newspaper book publishers, and PR and advertising agencies. I have two sets of symbols today. The first set is for copy editing, and the second set is for proofreading. Now, we'll talk about proofreading soon, but until we do, you can still grow acclimated to the symbols. If this was an in-person class, I'd give each of you a sheet of paper and have you handwrite the symbols in class, but we're asynchronous. So I'll review the symbols with you and direct you to practice manually writing them for homework. The symbols, as you will see, are very self-explanatory, but reviewing them here will help you to learn them more quickly. So let's take a look. I'm going to share my screen with you. Let's see, get into the right. Here we go. Share screen. And okay, there we go. So these are the AP copy editing symbols. If you want to indicate to someone that you want a word or letter capitalized, we use 3 lines underneath it, underneath the thing we want capitalized. If you want to indicate that a capital letter should look lowercase or be lowercase, then we just use a slash. If you are using figures and you want to indicate that the figures should actually be spelled out, use a circle. And the same thing for the opposite. And we're going to learn the rules of how to use figures and numerals later on. But right now, you just need to know the symbols. The same thing for abbreviations. We just circle what we want to abbreviate or what we don't. If you want to indicate that, well, you've got a series of sentences in a paragraph, but one of those sentences should start a new paragraph, just use this L mark right here. To indicate that 2 words should be switched around, just use this curvy line here. So this should, what you're saying is this should read as the new funds, not the funds new. Some editors like to use a more boxy symbol, which kind of looks like this a little bit. I'll try and draw this for you. Let me draw here. Some people kind of do something like that, a little more boxy, and that's fine. To join words, we use these 2 little marks and the typical quotation marks between anything that you want in quotes. To add a period at the end of a sentence or an abbreviation, or if someone misses a mark when trying to indicate a dollar amount, whatever it might be, a circle and a period, a dot mark inside. For italics, we underline what we want italicized, but we use a squiggly line for anything that we want to boldface. And using this S curve indicates that you want to connect material to form a continuous line or bring 2 paragraphs and combine them into one. Use the upside down V, as I like to simply say, for indicating where to insert a word or phrase, and then write above it what you want to insert. And so those are the basic copy editing symbols that we use. For proofreading marks, you'll see, again, these are very self-explanatory. There's some overlap between proofreading marks and copy editing symbols. For example, here, insert period, just again, a circle and a dot. Here are the insertion marks for a comma, a colon, semicolon. We already did quotes. For an apostrophe, the mark goes above the word, typically between the last letter of a word and the S to show possessive. If you have two words that it's not a compound word, you want to space them apart, just indicate a slash where a space should go. And again, same thing for numbers, or if there's a missing space between the end of a sentence and the beginning of a new one, just use a slash. Now the delete symbol is a little interesting. I'm going to try and do an annotation here for you to kind of draw. Not overly proficient at drawing here on Zoom, but this is typically what you use to, hey, I did it, kind of, I did it, to indicate that something should be deleted. You can delete a letter. Whoops. All right, not as good there. I'm going to try and clear that and do it again. You can delete a letter. Okay, there you go. Or you can delete a whole word. You can also indicate that you need a whole sentence deleted as well. That's something you can do also. Clear this drawing. Okay. If you have an imperfect letter, so for example, let's say this is a T instead of an R, you would just circle it. You don't necessarily need to write the correct letter above it. You can if you want to, but typically you just circle it and let the writer or the other copy editor make the correction. For a paragraph, if you want to start a new paragraph, you just need to use the backward, P with double line, or Cupcake agrees, or just go back up to the copy editing mark and use the L. Okay. This is a really interesting one. Let it stand as originally indicated. So let's say you deleted something. I'm going to go back to this. And let's say you deleted the word indicated. And then you realized as an editor, you know what? I made a mistake. I should not have actually indicated that the word indicated should be deleted. So what you do typically is you just write next to the mark. Again, I'm not overly proficient at this. All right. Just write this, S-T-E-T, stet, which means let it stand as originally indicated. And that will tell the editor that to ignore the mark that you made and just keep it as is. All right. Get rid of that. Again, for uppercase and all caps, use 3 lines underneath. For lowercase, use a slash. We already did italics and bold-faced, and we did numerical figures. If you want to indicate to the editor that, or a page designer, that something needs to be moved toward the left, be pushed left, we use this bracket here. To move to the right, we use this bracket over here, push right. Same thing for moving up, which means basically pull up or pull down. And those are the most commonly used AP style copy editing symbols and proofreading marks. Now, make sure that you download and print out a copy of this PDF. It's in the module, so print it out. For homework, I'm going to have you do a very simple practice exercise, and this will be assignment number 3. In the module, you'll see assignment number 3. I have the same sheets I just took you through, only the symbols are missing and the words are slightly different, and it looks like this. Okay. And I want you to have in front of you the sheet with the symbols that I just took you through. So you have them in front of you, and simply handwrite the symbols on these sheets, okay, that are blank from the symbols. What's that, Cupcake? I'll get to the due dates in a minute. All right. Basically what you're doing is you're copying exactly what I just showed you. And as you handwrite the symbols, please pay attention to them. Don't just automatically write them down. Really pay attention, because that's how you're going to become familiar and start to learn them. Everyone earns up to 5 points for this. There should be no errors because you're basically just copying. And it should not take more than 5 minutes to do the whole thing, okay? The due dates are in the module, so take a look at that on the actual assignment sheet. I also have assignment number 2 in the module, so do those and reach out to me if you have any questions. And that's all I've got for this week. We'll see you right back here on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And you too, Cupcake.